Hello and welcome, everyone. I'm Tom Bowley, Chief Market Strategist at earningsbeats.com, and this is Trading Places Live. It's Monday, April 5th, 2021, and I'm pre-recording this Trading Places Live for Tuesday, April 6th. Futures currently a little mixed, slightly lower on the Dow and the S&P 500 and slightly higher on the NASDAQ. Saw a lot of great action on Monday, market breaking out, saw some records fall. We're going to talk about that in just a bit. Going through the agenda for today, we will get into that daily market recap, go through talking technically, stocks to watch. Got a number of stocks I think are trading really nicely, and wanted to go through and show you some of those. Then we'll get into earnings spotlight, and we'll wrap up with the three you must see. Before we get into any of that, let me take you over to earningsbeats.com, where you can sign up for our free Earnings Beats Digest newsletter. Simply type in your name, email address, hit that subscribe button. We will make sure we send out our newsletter to you. It is delivered every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday morning before the market opens, focusing on things like relative strength, earnings, and so forth. Give you a little bit more of an idea as to how we approach the market, things that are important to us at earningsbeats.com. Moving on to the daily market recap for Monday, we did see the Dow Jones Industrial Average up more than 1%, 374 points, closing above 33,500. So halfway on our way to 34,000 from our last breakout of that 33,000 psychological barrier. They've been going pretty rapidly, though. We did get through 31,000 back beginning of the year, hit 32,000 in February, 33,000 in April, and now here we are in March, 33,000. And now here we are in April, moving up to 33.5, not too far, maybe a day or two, a good solid day or two away from moving above 34,000. The S&P 500, after finally closing above the 4,000 level to close out last week and to open up April, we rallied even further on Monday with the S&P 500 up 58 points, closing up 1.44% to 4,077. Beautiful day for the S&P 500. NASDAQ making a clear breakout above the neckline that we've talked about, had that ABC correction off of the February high. You can see we went down to about 13,000, bounced back up to about 13,600 or maybe 13,650, went all the way back down to about 12,400, back up again to that equal, just see the right side of that neckline right at about 13,600, but equaling the left side of the neckline that was printed back at the beginning of March. Pulled back one more time just below that 13,000 level, put in the right shoulder, and now we're making that breakout above the neckline. So very, very bullish action on the NASDAQ. Also, I love the AD line making new highs, even though price action hasn't gotten there yet. I think there has been a lot of accumulation, even though there's been a lot of selling in the technology area. I believe institutions have been accumulating. We've talked about that quite a bit. And now we're seeing the price action come back up. Mid caps didn't make a breakout to a new all-time high, but got very close. Another solid day. Mid caps up about 2/3 of 1%. Small caps up a little more than 2/5 of 1%, back near that 1350 level. Got another 50 points or so to get through or get up to that March all-time high, which was around the 1400 level. Looking at the sectors, gotta like the leadership: consumer discretionary, communication services, technology. These were the three groups that were up more than 2% on Monday. 7 of the 11 sectors were up more than 1%. You can see staples went up by about a little more than 1.25%. The only real laggard on Monday was energy. Energy falling back below its 20-day moving average, back down to 49.11. We'd had a pretty big run in energy. I think we're seeing a little profit taking, possibly an ABC correction. We'll have to see whether or not we go back down below the 47 level. My guess is we'll probably hold that. That's the 50-day moving average in these recent lows. So look for 47.50 to provide some pretty good support on the XLE. All right, moving on to talking technically. I wanted to actually, I'm sorry, got a little ahead of myself. 10-year Treasury yield. Got to talk a little bit about the 10-year Treasury yield. We've had some great economic news come out here in the past well, really over the past few months. I mean, it's continually getting better and better. But we did have non-farm payrolls come out on Friday, well ahead of expectations. And not only were March numbers higher than expected, but the February numbers were revised higher. So it was really a win-win. And so we saw the 10-year Treasury yield move up a little bit as folks were bailing out of bonds because of the strong economic news. I suspect we're probably going to consolidate here for a little bit. I think we've already made this huge run in the 10-year Treasury yield. Wouldn't surprise me to consolidate. And that also is what the PPO is telling me here. After this big move up, PPO is rising pretty substantially. But these last couple of highs here, you can see the PPO has rolled over. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a move back down to the downside. And I think that could really light a fire under technology stocks and the NASDAQ more specifically, if in fact I'm right, we do see the 10-year Treasury yield pull back. That also could come at the expense of some of the financial stocks, which have been riding up so strongly with the 10-year Treasury yield moving up over the past several months. So you might be careful with the financials. We've also have the banks coming out with their earnings next week. I think they start Wednesday, April 14th, when we get JP Morgan and Wells Fargo both reporting in the bank space. And then we've also got Goldman Sachs reporting that morning, and that, of course, in the investment services area. So a lot going on in the financials, but we've had a big run. I think that there's a lot of built-in good news now in these charts, and financials could struggle not only from the actual news coming out with earnings, but also if the 10-year Treasury yield were to take a little bit of a hit to the downside. So I would just be a little cautious, maybe be prudent about booking some profits in the financial space, at least partial profits from a trading perspective. Long term, I still like financials. I think the 10-year Treasury yield is going to go higher. I think over the next year we're going to see it probably 2.5 to 3%, and that will coincide with some leadership from the financial. So short term, I'm talking about maybe a pullback. So it's more of a trading idea than it is a longer term issue for financials. All right, now let's move into the daily market, or not daily market recap, but into talking technically. I want to go through a couple of the major indices with you. So I'm going to start with the Dow Jones. And here on the daily chart, I think you can see, this is what an advance and uptrend looks like. Higher highs, higher lows across the chart. We've been trading mostly above the 50-day moving average, really since back in May. That's when the Dow had that first value stocks really took that first big leap at the end of May and the first week of June. And since then, we've only had a couple of instances, one in September, one at the end of October, and then you can see here at the very end of January. That's been the only time we've really had any a break of that 50-day moving average. And you can see we're well above the 20, which is now pulling away from the 50. This configuration looks very bullish. The S&P 500 also breaking out, very similar looking chart. And once again, with that move from mid-May through the first week of June. Since then, a little bit of weakness September and October. And then actually beginning of March, we had one day where we closed below the 50-day. Otherwise, moving up, you can see price action breaking out, the 20 beginning to pull away from the 50. This price action, I think, looks pretty good to me. All right, a couple of key sectors that I think we need to keep an eye on. Number one, consumer discretionary. You can see consumer discretionary actually did close at a new high. So we took out that high in February. That's a really bullish development for the discretionary space. And then we have XLC, that's communication services, also making a breakout to an all-time high. Just a few days ago, a week ago, we were down testing the 50-day moving average. Now, after a solid week, breaking out to a new high. So really good action here. Finally, just bring up technology and show you we didn't make a breakout above the February high, although we're right on the verge of it. So the last 3 or 4 days, very strong action in technology. I've been suggesting not to give up on this space. I think off of this push to the upside, we did have this pullback, inverse left shoulder, neckline, head, right side of the neckline, inverse right shoulder, and then we've gotten this breakout above 135, the neckline. So I think everything looks pretty good. This actually measures, the initial measurement is from 135 down to 125, which is up to 145. You take those 10 points from the neckline down to the inverse head, and you tack it on to the breakout at the 135 level. That gives you a 145 measurement. So we're still talking about another 7 points or so, which would be roughly 5%, 5 to 6%. I think we could see that here in April. Would not be surprised. So, with earnings coming up, I think you're going to get a pre-earnings advance in a lot of these stocks. We're starting to see the FAANG stocks really make a push. And so I wanted to take just a couple minutes and look at those stocks as well. So Facebook makes the breakout. See the top back in August, all this sideways consolidation. We've seen some of the bigger tech names really struggling from a long-term perspective. Well, Facebook made that breakout, closing at 310. You see the volume picking up. That's good news. Amazon also strengthening. Amazon, after printing the low down around this 2,900 level, you can see going all the way back to July and September, 2,900 was support. We tested that back at the beginning of March, went back up, trying to get through the moving averages, finally did so. Between last Thursday and then again on Monday, we've taken out the 20-day and the 50-day on Amazon. Volume just kind of so-so. I'd like to see this pick back up again, but I think this could be the start of a move back up to challenge the September high around 3,500, a little above 3,500 level. All right, Apple. Apple also strengthening, needs to get through its 50-day, hasn't done that yet. Also reaction high at the beginning of March at about 129. So you got price action, price resistance around 129. You got that 50-day moving average at about almost 128. That's the key for Apple. Need to see it get back up above that level. If so, I think off of this uptrend, this could be a nice little cup, but we do need to get that move through 129 or so. Netflix. Netflix was the one that suffered a little bit on a relative basis among the FAANG stocks. Not really a whole lot of positive here, although it was down quite a bit earlier and did come back up to finish near the high of the day. So that was good. It is now trekking above the 20-day moving average, which is starting to turn back up. So there are some positives here. And then finally, Google, like Facebook, in that energy space, making a big breakout an internet space. The internet stocks really had a good day today. So Google, Google and Facebook leading that area to the upside. So really good action in the internet space, which of course is part of that communication services that I mentioned broke out to an all-time high. So I think Google looks good here. Look at the volume picking up as it makes this breakout. On any pullback, you got pretty good support around 2120 price support, and then the rising 20-day moving average, which right now is at 2,067. That's going to continue to move higher as well. So that's where I would be looking on any pullback. All right, let's move on to stocks to watch. And I got a bunch of them here for you. So I want to go through these, try to go through them rapid fire, but these are all stocks that I think look interesting. AYI came out with earnings last week. They did miss their top line estimate, but they crushed their bottom line. I think it was like 212 versus a $169 or $170. Really nice action. The stock, nice gap up, continued pushing higher. So that's a key support level. We won't have this on our strong earnings chart list going forward because they were unable to beat the revenue estimate, but it was nice to see the earnings beat by such a wide margin, and never one to complain about the nice price action here in the breakout. DLB, this is Dolby Labs. DLB, after going sideways here, you can see the double top at about the 101, 102 level. We did break above that on increasing volume last Thursday, and we continued that push today, Monday. So nice action there on DLB. FBHS, this is Fortune Brands Home and Security. Sideways consolidation for months. Look at all this. Could not get through 92, 93 bucks. Well, we finally did it on some pretty decent volume here over the last week. So I think we now have a nice uptrend on FBHS. Then we've got FR, First Industrial Realty. Same thing. Look at the sideways action. I like these long-term basing patterns. And then finally, when we get the breakout, what I generally would be looking for on a move like this is once you get the breakout, look for a 20-day test. 20-day tests normally are solid after you get a period of basing, consolidation, and then a breakout. Look for that 20-day test to hold. Home Depot, all of a sudden just on fire. Down around 245, looked like the chart was breaking down after sideways consolidating for a while. That was a head fake. We've been coming back up. Not only are we coming back up, this volume has been very strong to the upside. So I think we've got a lot of accumulation taking place here in Home Depot. And if you look at the bottom of this chart, the AD line, this backs it up. I mean, that has been a huge move. We have seen almost every candle here hollow, meaning that we're closing above the open and on above average volume almost every day. So Home Depot really looks strong to me. INVH, this is Invitation Homes. Again, sideways consolidation, breaking out, decent volume. I think this one looks like it's trending higher and likely to be solid on any 20-day test. Jabil Inc., JBL, little sideways consolidation off of a move to the upside back at the end of 2020. Started this year going sideways. Look at the volume pickup though, and we move up. And this was an example of what I was just talking about. Sideways consolidation, make the breakout. PPO looks good. Pull back, look for that 20-day test to hold. MAS, this is Masco. Sideways consolidation here over the last few days, just making a breakout. MAS looks good. MMC, this is Marsh and McLennan. Sideways consolidation, making the breakout. Hopefully you can see the consistency on a lot of these charts. MMMS, sideways consolidation. Here's your breakout. Where did we go back down to? Right to the 20-day moving average. Look at this 20-day holding beautifully on every pullback. Then we've got O, which is Realty Income Corp. Sideways consolidation, just making a breakout. O looks good. ONTO, this is Onto Innovation. Sideways consolidation here for the last 6 weeks or so, making a breakout. Looks good. PEAK, this is Peak or Health Peak Properties. Again, sideways consolidation, breakout, 20-day test holds, moves to a new high. PSA, this is Public Storage, sideways consolidation, making the break, went 1 day below the 20-day and then right back up again. Stock looks pretty good. Look at that AD line strengthening as well. Another one looks good. TDY, this is Teledyne Technologies, sideways consolidation, breaking out above that 412, maybe 414 level. This is a nice looking chart, I think, after sideways consolidating. Really good support down around that 350 area. Then just broke out again. I think this one starts to trend higher from this level. Then we've got next up is TRI. So TRI is Thomson Reuters. And you can see after moving up, challenging that high that we established back in November with the vaccine news, went sideways, a little bit of an ascending triangle. See the highs equal and the rising lows above that 20-day. Just got the breakout. I would have liked to have seen a little bit more volume, but the pattern here looks nice. VTI, just want to point out, this is the Vanguard Total Stock Market ETF. This is kind of, encapsulating everything taking place in the stock market, and we're breaking out. Volumes picking up. I think this is a really good sign that the overall total stock market ETF making this nice breakout after consolidating a little bit. Looks like a little cup here. Handle back to the 50-day, nice little reversing candle, and then a breakout. Looks to me like VTI wants to go higher, and that is good for the overall market. Whirlpool certainly has been improving. Sideways consolidation, breakout. Where did it pull back to? 20-day EMA. Looking good. WPC, this is WP Carey and Company. Another one, lots of consolidation here. Struggling to get through 71 or 72. Finally did it. Volume's been picking up on this move. Watch for a 20-day test. All right, Lam Research. Get into some of these semiconductors because, man, have they been on fire. Lam Research making a beautiful breakout. Look at the increasing volume, taking out the recent tops around 600. That's your new support level, 600 on a pullback. On Semiconductor, ON, sideways consolidation, just making a breakout. AD line really confirming too. I think ON looks good. UTHR, this is United Therapeutics. Sideways consolidation. Look at the volume come in on this. Gap up. I think that is a continuation gap. breakaway gap, whatever you want to call it. I consider it continuation since we are continuing that prior uptrend, but that's a really, really nice candle. And I would suspect that UTHR trades higher in the near term. MKSI, which is MKS Instruments, just making the breakout above that January high, looking pretty strong here as well. ACLS, this is Axcelis Technologies, again, moving up, nice volume back in January, and then we consolidate for about 2.5, 3 months. Look at the volume picking up as we make this breakout. Very, very strong action here. ENTG, wrote about this one in my daily market report to members a couple days ago. And the sideways action here, beautiful breakout coming off this 20-day test. I think this looks good. Now, we did print a black candle on Monday, so that is sometimes a reversing candle, especially off of an uptrend. So maybe we get a pullback, but I tell you, anything down close to that 20-day moving average looks good to me. QRVO, another semiconductor. This is Qorvo. Made that high in mid-January, sideways consolidation, just making another breakout. Fluor, so now we're into the defense area. FLIR, sideways consolidation, just broke out above 56. Look at the volume down there picking up. Looks good. CCMP, this is Cabot Microelectronics. This one doesn't have a whole lot of volume. Looks like it averages maybe around 200,000. But after all that sideways consolidation, this breakout I thought was worth mentioning. It looks good to me. Texas Instruments, no problem with volume here. Texas Instruments, after consolidating, really big move off that 20-day right there on heavy volume back at the end of March. I think Texas Instruments looks good right now. Brooks Automation, this is probably one of the best semiconductors out there. A huge move from 45 to 90 over just 3 months. Sideways consolidates, and now the volume picks up. We get another breakout. Brooks looks good. And then the last one I want to mention, this is a software company in Inovalon Holdings. The reason I mention this, you've noticed a lot of the stocks I've been talking about have been in the semiconductor area. Haven't really talked much about software stocks because honestly, outside of maybe some of the big names like Microsoft, we didn't really have a huge day among many of the software names. In fact, a lot of software names I follow were down on Monday, kind of going against the grain. But INOV was not one of those. INOV, beautiful move up. Nice 3 white soldiers right here if you're a candlestick fan. Beautiful move up, taking out that prior resistance. So I would expect now any kind of a pullback into that 28, 29 area to hold as we've got a rising 20-day moving average coming up just below 28 right now. And then, of course, the breakout was just below $29. So anything back in that in the 28s, I think would be very interesting on the long side there. All right, let's move on. I want to talk a little bit about earnings. So let's get into the earnings spotlight. Not a whole lot of earnings coming up this week, but I just wanted to go over a few of these with you. So first is Paychex. Paychex will be reporting on Tuesday. I believe that is after the close on Tuesday. AD line, though, has been pretty strong. You can see we just recently made a breakout, holding on these pullbacks to the rising 20-day moving average. I think this looks like a really nice chart. 20-day test looks solid to me. So I'm pretty good with Paychex. LNN also reporting on Tuesday. AD line's been strengthening along with price. Did go down to the 50-day. I'm imagining probably on this high, we probably saw a negative divergence. We did. So there you can see the higher prices. Look at that PPO, negative divergence. So what do? We go back basically to the 50-day test or 50-day moving average, got close to that PPO center line, and now we're starting to turn back to the upside. I will say, though, Lindsay has very little volume. This is not a stock I would trade because of the lack of volume. All right, let's take a look at SCHN. So this is Schnitzer Steel, and I'm going to pull this up on a relative basis because steel stocks, some of the steel stocks have done really well. You can see steel the last 2 or 3 months, very, very strong action to the upside, and on a relative basis. Look at it relative to the S&P 500. So steel's been very strong, and Schnitzer's been one of the better stocks within this group. So, and with the AD line for the most part doing pretty well. I would look for a strong report here out of SCHN. I'd be shocked if they don't have a report that beats Wall Street estimates as to both revenues and earnings per share. So maybe that gives us the breakout. Maybe it's already built in because we've had such a big run. But if we do come out with strong earnings and you see a failed breakout attempt, you'll probably want to be careful, because a lot of times companies that have these pre-earnings runs and can't make the breakout with earnings, many times will pull back. So just keep that in mind. Also later this week, I believe on Thursday, we'll see Constellation Brands reporting. Now on this one, you see a little different picture in that it's grouped the distillers and vintners versus the S&P, not exactly very strong. AD line here, not particularly strong. Sideways consolidation. I just don't see anything one way or the other on a stock like this. So I would personally be just a little cautious ahead of this report. And then you got Conagra Brands also on Thursday. CAG trying to get through this previous high. We kind of did sort of on light volume. Couldn't hold, but so far holding the 20-day. So from here, I'd like to see Conagra move back up through $39 and break out. Maybe earnings is the catalyst to do that. And then the last one I'll mention is just Jinko Solar. This is one that reports on Friday, of course, from the renewable energy space. The stock had a huge run from September through October last year. Did go through sideways consolidation and now has been downtrending for a while. This one, in order to right the ship, needs to get back through that 20-day moving average. And renewable energy stocks have been really up and down, more down lately. And so could use a big report on Friday to kind of jumpstart that group. All right, let's wrap this thing up with the three you must see. I'm going to start off with S&P Global, SPGI. The thing I like here is after this big run up, you can see maybe on a daily chart, maybe it looks too long, like it doesn't look like a cup. I see a cup and I see volume really picking up here at the bottom and on the move back to the upside. Now we're starting to get the AD line. We already got the industry group starting to move up. So SPGI is pretty interesting. And if you're curious about this cup, I think you can see a lot better on a weekly chart where you've got this big move up and there's your cup. I think it shows up a lot better on a weekly chart. But on this weekly chart, you can see the weekly PPO is strengthening. A close above 380 would really do it here. So SPGI, I think, looks interesting. All right, next up, OLN. So this is Olin Corp. And what I wanted to watch for here, this, I think it's 39.92 was the open here. And you can see this shooting star, almost a reverse hammer, where we come up here, gap up, shoot up to 42.5 intraday, and then come back and close on the low of the day. That's a top. That's a topping signal. We went back, we held the 20-day, and we came back up, and now we're trying to break out again. Resistance, close over 40 is what you're looking for. Downside, watch that rising 20-day moving average. All right, last one is SEAS. This is SeaWorld Entertainment. Big move up, sideways consolidation. I don't like that false breakout, though, on Monday. Traded up as high as 53.92 and then came back down, closed at 51.39. Another move back down to test support, maybe around 46, 47. Wouldn't be a shocker to me after a false breakout. All right, that's it for me. Everybody have a great day. Be back on Wednesday over at Earnings Beats for your next Trading Places Live. That will start at 9 a.m. Eastern. Have a great day, everybody. Happy trading.
Hey, Grayson Rose here with StockCharts. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, consider giving it a like down below, maybe leave us a comment, and if you're new to the channel, you can subscribe at the link up above. We're gonna bring you daily content from an incredible collection of technical analysts and financial experts.